first down. They hand off to Marlon Mac. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mac. Touchdown, INDY. And again, it's picked up. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with his second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to the Bring the Juice podcast. I am your co-host, Derek Larger. Joining me today is your other co-host, Cody Felger. Cody, how are you doing today?
I am excited, so pumped that we finally have reached 2,000 subscribers. It has been an absolute insane journey, especially over these last few months, Derek. And I know we were talking off air just how crazy it has been, just this ride and how much we've grown in the past few months. Man, how excited are you about this? Because I am pumped.
I'm pumped. I'm so pumped. I mean, this is 2,000 subscribers. You guys are crazy. Now, we're recording this video. This is going to get uploaded the next day. I mean, obviously, by the time you're listening to this, we recorded this yesterday, and we were talking like we just found out an hour before we recorded this that we hit 2,000 subscribers. So you guys are awesome, man. You guys are great. We're really appreciative of every single one of you. Even if you were just here for the giveaway, we really appreciate every single one of you that subscribe to the channel. We hope you guys will actually listen and enjoy it. And again, like I said on Twitter multiple times, don't be discouraged if your name is not the one that is chosen here. Okay, because we have one that's already planned to be for another giveaway, and we might have another one after that. So just understand that there will be a few other times that you will get a chance to get something cool that we're going to give away. But like I said before, guys, we're really appreciative of you guys very much. And without further ado, I said that we would announce the winner of the giveaway for the Colts Bluetooth speaker. And Cody, I'm going to go ahead and announce this name here.
Okay.
Before we get into
roll?
today's topic. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give me a drum roll, please.
All right, here we go.
The winner is William Matchett. Now, I want to make sure I get this name right. I want to get this Twitter handle right. I want to make sure I get this right here.
At Will Matchett 48 on Twitter.
There we go. Yep, at Will Matchett 48. William Matchett on Twitter. So you are the winner, William. Congratulations, man. Super excited for you. We hope you will enjoy this Bluetooth speaker. Just another cool thing for us to do for the people who subscribe to the channel, for people who follow us on Twitter and other places. You guys are all great. And William, congratulations once again. We will probably be getting in touch with you soon after you win. So that's the first winner, guys, for the Colts speaker. But again, don't be discouraged. It's going to be some other times. I promise you. So without further ado, guys, fun excitement here. We've reached 2,000 subscribers. Again, thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts. Congratulations again to William Matchett for winning this giveaway. So now we're going to hop into the next segment of this new series that we have been going with, where we dive deep into the depth of all the positions for the Indianapolis Colts. And last time that we talked about the quarterbacks. If you haven't seen that one, be sure to go check that one out. Cody certainly made a few Chad Kelly fans mad. Got some people
I knew it was
stirring
coming
for sure. But today we're going to talk about the running back groups. And that's going to be an interesting one here, because obviously with the new addition of Jonathan Taylor and potentially somebody else being moved out the door, it's going to be a very interesting topic to see what we do here. So, Cody, now that I've introduced the running back groups, do you want to start us out here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it is an interesting group, especially with the addition of a guy like Jonathan Taylor, highly touted running back, arguably the best running back in this class. We know the fumbling issues are something, but we'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to start here. I thought it's only fair, the starter from last year, to start there with Marlon Mac, a guy that since he's been drafted by the Colts in 2017, he's been really good when he's been healthy. Now, he hasn't played in a full 16 games, which is, again, part of the reason we think that the Colts drafted Jonathan Taylor, also just because Jonathan Taylor was a beast at Wisconsin. But Marlon Mac last year, he eclipsed 1,000 yards. He was the first Colts running back to do that since Frank Gore. I believe 2016 was when Frank Gore ran for 1,000 yards. So, just based off of what we saw from the Colts really in the whole 2010s era, Marlon Mac was definitely one of their best running backs in that era. And he's only been with the Colts now. He'll be entering his 4th year. But he's a guy that, was really electric last year. He averaged 4.4 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. He's just been a guy that when he's gotten the ball in his hands, he's made plays over and over again. Now, I know that the addition of Jonathan Taylor might most likely take some of his snaps away, but it also could be good, like we've talked, Derek, on previous podcasts. It could be good for Marlon Mac because, he's a guy that's had some durability concerns and some issues at times. And now adding another running back into the mix that can kind of be that, what Nick Sirianni called a 1-1 punch with those 2 running backs, it could really serve Marlon Mac well. But as it stands right now, Marlon Mac was the starter last year, so I thought it was only fair to start with the starter from last year in Marlon Mac. So, Derek, what do you have? Do you have anything else you want to add here about the Colts starting running back the last 2 years in Marlon Mac?
Yeah, Marlon Mac has, again, just been a phenomenal guy, a phenomenal teammate. It's just kind of cool to see guys like Jacoby Brissett and Marlon Mac being team guys. They were put in some unfavorable situations this offseason. Let's admit it. They were put into some unfavorable situations. And, a lot of guys would be, self-centered about it and say, this is not cool. Think of what I've done for you. And, I want more than this. They could have been like that, but instead they took it and they understood what was best for the team. And they said, okay, coach, that's fine. Let me know what I can do to help this guy and help the team win. I love that about Marlon Mac, Jacoby Brissett, and all this other team. Now, in Marlon Mac specifically, again, it's really great to know that Marlon Mac's still going to be here. With the addition of a Jonathan Taylor, Nick Sirianni obviously mentioned how he doesn't view Marlon Mac and Jonathan Taylor as a 1-2 combo. He just views it as a 1-1 combo because both of these guys are so good at what they do that it's impossible to call them 1 and 2 because they both do their jobs so tremendously well. And Marlon Mac has definitely gotten really good over these last few years. He has gotten much, much better at reading the line of scrimmage, finding holes in the line, and making good physical runs. I mean, that's great for a guy like Marlon Mac, and Jonathan Taylor as the equivalent of that. This is all going to work out super well for Marlon Mac, I think, in his future if he decides he wants to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned Merlin Mac. Really, he's improved tremendously since his rookie year. A lot of people, when Marlon Mac kind of came out of South Florida, not like Jonathan Taylor, who came out of Wisconsin, more of a well-known, established school. Marlon Mac really is just an athlete who just, kind of similar to some other guys, when he's electric when he gets the ball into his hands, but he's had to develop a lot of his game. You mentioned, just more physical running style. I think that Marlon Mac has really embraced and really thrived in. It's just been tremendous to see how he has continued to grow as that Colts running back. And now you add a guy like Jonathan Taylor, who we'll get into next, that can add another level to this Colts running game and running attack. And, they were 7th in the league last year, which is, admittedly pretty good, but they want to be top 5. And I think just the addition of Jonathan Taylor could potentially help them get to that mark. And I want to look at Jonathan Taylor now because this is a guy, Derek, that almost ran for 2,000 yards in every single season he was at Wisconsin. That's absolutely insane to me. So you look at it here, 2017 at Wisconsin, he runs for almost 2,000 yards, 1,099 and 77 yards. So super close, 13 touchdowns. And he continues to get better as the seasons go along. 2018, he runs for over 2,000 yards. 2019, he adds to his touchdown total, also still goes over 2,000 yards. There is a potential fumbling issue that I know has been the biggest knock on him. But, Derek, if there's one thing that we've seen from, running backs that under Tom Rathman, the current Colts running back coach, it's that they do not fumble the ball. I mean, I think out of all the snaps last year, all the Colts running backs, I think they put it on the ground one time out of all the snaps that they ran last year. And I think that's tremendous. And I honestly think that this could be a perfect landing spot for a guy like Jonathan Taylor, where if that's going to be his biggest issue and that's going to be his biggest knock on him, they can get that coached out of him. What do you think here about a guy like Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, I mean, this was absolutely the best possible thing that the Colts could have done if they were going to select another running back, a dynamic playmaker that can impact the game in so many ways. I mean, Jonathan Taylor really is the ultimate package when you look at the abilities that a running back can provide. He's obviously not the catch guy that Christian McCaffrey is. That's obviously not his forte. But Jonathan Taylor, this dude can just do it all. I mean, he is, quite honestly, I know a lot of people say, you look at his power and you look at his strength and the big runs that he has. A lot of times people forget to see how actually good his senses are and his ability to find holes. It's kind of the same way with Marlon Mac. These two feed off each other so well because of the simple fact they play the game the same way at the line of scrimmage. They find holes where sometimes other running backs who don't have as much patience don't find those holes. Jonathan Taylor also has that ability where he has the agility to make that cut, right? That cut where you look back and you see it and be able to put your foot in the ground and just go straight through that hole because you see it at the last second in your peripherals. That is Jonathan Taylor. I don't even have to mention the guy's speed. Ran a 4.39 at the combine as a 230 pounds. That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, that's incredible for a guy, 230 pounds, to be able to run under a 4.4. That is just insane. He's got good speed, and you look at his power. I mean, his power is just absolutely insane. He just runs over people. There's been very few times that I've seen Jonathan Taylor actually get knocked back. It doesn't happen very often. So if you're looking for guys like Marlon Mac and Jonathan Taylor, two guys that can just wear you down if you're a defense, right? Because defenses, they don't want to have to, deal with running, right? That's kind of what the NFL's been getting away from. But what's the problem with having it if you have two good guys that can actually utilize it? You can use that, and Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mac are the perfect combination of good speed, power, agility, and good senses. These two are going to make a living behind this offensive line that Indianapolis has built.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And another factor that I think, you mentioned, he's not really a receiving back. He's not known for that. But especially in the 2019 season, he started to develop that a little bit more. I mean, he added 26 catches, 252 yards. I mean, before that, his most he didn't even crack 100 yards in his 2 seasons prior to that. And he also added 5 touchdowns in the receiving game. So it's not like he can't, catch the football. He can. He just was not utilized in that way at Wisconsin.
Yep.
But you're right. He's a guy that just has tremendous power, tremendous speed. A rare combination, I think, for a running back. And, you factor that into having one of the best, I would argue, the best running backs coach in the league, training you and teaching you to clean up certain things. I think it's just a match made in heaven. For a guy that had over 2,200 yards in back-to-back seasons of all scrimmage yards, I think that's just a tremendous thing. And I think he's going to thrive well with this top Colts offensive line in terms of running the football and also pass protecting. I think he's just a guy that kind of has it all. He has the size, he has the speed, he has the vision. He seems like he's a very smart player as well. So there's a lot of things that he brings to the table in terms of the running back position. I think that 1-1 punch, like Nick Sirianni said, of him and Marlon Mac are just going to be really lethal for a defense. And you mentioned, Derek, just the whole idea of wearing defenses down. We didn't see it so much last year, but when the Colts had good quarterback play with Andrew Luck, that's how they like to attack defenses. They like to wear them down. I mean, you look at that Houston game, that the first game that the Colts played in 2018, I know that they lost that game, but you kind of look at that game and just how much the Colts were able to wear the Texans down. I mean, you saw the Texans defenders, hands on their hip. They were tired. They were exhausted after that game. Now, I know ultimately it didn't come out with the Colts' favor, but they like to do that to defenses. They like to destroy defenses' wills, if you will, similar to what Quentin Nelson wants to do on the offensive line. Take away a defender's will to want to play the game. And that's what Frank Reich and this offense likes to do. Adding a guy like Jonathan Taylor is only going to help and only going to improve this running game. An admittedly really good running game last year. Improve this running game and take it to the next level. And so we can move on now to the next guy on our list. He's a little bit different. So, we talked about how Jonathan Taylor wasn't known for his receiving game. The next guy on our list, he really is. He's known for his receiving game and also a little bit of his returning game last year. That's Nyheim Hines. He's a guy that's coming. He's a former fourth-round pick. Coming in now to his third year. He's been a guy that, Derek, we've always felt like he's been very underused in this Colts offense. Now, I wouldn't say so much in 2018 because he had obviously Andrew Luck and, he was one of the top rookie receiving running backs in the league. But in 2019, with the subpar quarterback play that the Colts had, he just did not see the field a ton. Now, we know that when he gets the ball in his hands, there's a reason why he was the fastest running back in the 2018 draft, right? Yep. He has electric speed. He is absolutely insane in that department. He's a guy that, is just very, very elusive. And, a guy that just, I feel like once he gets touches in his hands, he's just, he's one of those home run hitters that the Colts offense has really been looking for. But Derek, what are your thoughts here on Nyheim Hines? I know a lot of people have kind of said this could potentially be a breakout year for Hines because obviously we know Phillip Rivers' history with those receiving type backs, similar to kind of Nyheim Hines type of game. What are your thoughts here on Nyheim Hines?
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that believe he's going to have a breakout year. It's kind of funny to think that we think for 3 running backs the Colts are going to have, they're all going to contribute massively to what this team wants to do. And that's kind of a good thing, honestly, when you're thinking about it, because you're not wanting to put all the pressure on a bunch of young receivers. Now, granted, T.Y. Hilton is there. I understand. T.Y. Hilton understands everything. It's not a huge deal for him. But Paris Campbell, who basically is still inexperienced because of his lack of games that he played last year. Michael Pittman, obviously a rookie. He's going to have to get used to this. Zach Pascal, even though we can't even say Zach with his young age because Zach Pascal's been there, done that for the Colts so often. But half of the receiving core for the Colts is very inexperienced. They're still trying to adapt to the offense and defenses of the National Football League. So you want to be able to take some of that pressure off them, right? And what better way to do that than being able to make plays with your running back out of the backfield? Now you look at some of the best that do it, right? Christian McCaffrey is the best back to do it right now, right? He does it every week. And, obviously Phillip Rivers and Austin Eckler was that way for a couple years. Tom Brady has made a living off of that. I mean, and when he was in New England, there were multiple years where the running backs were actually one of his top targeted receivers, which is kind of funny to think about. But again, that's just the way the NFL does it now. They have guys that are running backs that can make plays out of the backfield, make plays with their feet. They're agile. They're great in open space. They got good speed. That's exactly what a Nyheim Hines is. So, yeah, Nyheim Hines for me is definitely a stud this year. I hope that Phillip Rivers gives him some design plays to give Nyheim Hines a chance because, again, when Nyheim Hines gets himself out in that open field, we saw it at the end of the year when he had those 2 punt returns for a touchdown and nearly a third one in the same game. We've seen a lot of it, and we've actually seen him make a lot of great receptions back in 2018 when Andrew Luck was still there. So this is a guy, if you put in the right system and the right couple plays, Nyheim Hines can get you a few every game.
Yeah, he's a guy that was absolutely nuts last year. You talked about in the kick and punt return game. I mean, he only had 9 returns, so he didn't really do it most of the year. But on those 9 returns, he had 281 yards and 2 touchdowns. His long was 84, one of his touchdown plays. Averaged 31.2 yards per return, which I think is absolutely crazy on the punt return department. You know, he added some kick returns as well. So I know Zach Pascal had been handling some of the kick returns, but obviously with Chester Rogers not coming back, he was the primary punt returner. This gives a guy like Nyheim Hines more of an opportunity to get the ball into his hands. You know, even if for some reason he doesn't explode like we hope he will in this Colts offense, he still adds another element to this game on special teams that I think the Colts have lacked for so long, right? Like, you think of Chester Rogers. He was reliable, but he was never going to scare you. Like, he was never going to probably break off a punt return. Like, I don't know the last time, Derek, when the Colts have had a physical freak, a guy that is just as fast as Nyheim Hines and as elusive as Nyheim Hines returning punts for them. I think it's something that, you know, cannot be understated, how good this guy is when he gets the ball into his hands, and certainly hope that we see an uptick in those kick and punt returns in 2020. I think if we will, the Colts will have a lot more plays, a lot more electric plays on special teams that could potentially swing games for them, because, you know, we saw how many games the Colts were in that were one-possession games last year, right? Like, there was a lot of games that the Colts were in that they could have won or lost by one possession. And so, you know, say you get a Nyheim Hines returns a punt, you know, even if he doesn't return it for a touchdown, gives you good field position, could completely change the trajectory of a game and of your season. And so you're right, Derek. If you can get the ball into Nyheim Hines' hands, he's an electric player, and I think he's certainly going to thrive in this Colts offense and also on the special teams department. And then we'll move into our last guy here. This is a guy that has kind of been debated. You know, after the Colts drafted Jonathan Taylor, people were like, does this mean he's not going to make the final 53-man roster? What's going to go on? And that's Jordan Wilkins. It was a guy, 5th-round pick, drafted in the same draft as Nyheim Hines in 2018. He's a guy that's not really a receiving threat. He's more of a running threat. He just hasn't seen the field a ton. I mean, last year he had only 51 attempts, 307 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But, you know, he's a guy that's always been reliable, right? He's always averaged pretty good when he's carried the ball. I mean, last year he averaged 6 yards a carry. 2018, he averaged 5.6 yards per carry. So when he gets the ball in his hands, he can be pretty, you know, productive for the Colts offense. What do you think this potentially means for Jordan Wilkins? And say he does stay on the roster, how do you think he can contribute to this Colts team in 2020?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of times that we brought Jordan Wilkins in, and he was a very reliable back. I mean, I actually think that they said, if you looked at it from based on number of runs they had versus big plays, Jordan Wilkins as a ratio had more big runs, which meant 10+ yard runs, than Marlon Mac did when it came to, you know, usage of how many times they ran and how many big rushes they actually had. So Jordan Wilkins is a very reliable back. He's been there. He's been consistent. Like I said before, he's one of the only few running backs in the league with a certain amount of rushing attempts that averaged a 6 yards per carry average, which is really incredible. Jordan Wilkins, I really hope does stay on the roster, and I hope he continues to be that 4th back, you know, because I really like the way he plays. Just a no-nonsense, just run up the hole, wears you down. Now the Colts have 3 of those guys, right? I would say Wilkins is more of that physical runner than a Marlon Mac is, but it's not by much. It's not like it's that crazy, but Jordan Wilkins, again, is that another addition of a guy that's been in this offensive system. He understands it. He knows how his offensive line goes. He just seems like another, just completes that triple threat of power backs that can just make plays by just running you over and just making great plays at the line of scrimmage by being patient. So, yeah, Jordan Wilkins definitely is a guy that I would really favor to be on the roster. I just don't know if he's actually going to want to stay. I think he might actually decide to want to go somewhere else to be like a feature back somewhere.
Yeah,
hey, I hear
just getting
Tampa
more
Bay
snaps.
is hiring.
Probably. They already took an offensive lineman. Why not take a running back too?
Hey, you know what? I heard Le'Veon Bell's on his way out. Jordan Wilkins, you can go over there too.
Go.
Just take our entire depth chart. I mean, seriously, Jets, just give us the top 3 at each spot, and you can have the next ones. You're welcome.
I tell you what, we'll trade them for Jamal Adams. We'll trade Jordan Wilkins for Jamal Adams. Who
yes,
says
please,
no, right?
Please.
That's interesting, though, that you talked about you would like Jordan Wilkins as that 4th running back because, trying to do some numbers crunching here, there's going to be some positions that are going to be interesting to see. Do the Colts, for example, do they keep Roosevelt Nix on the roster, right? They signed him to be a fullback. And does that mean they keep 4, is he more like a tight end type of Ryan Hewitt type of player that the Colts had in 2018, more of just a run blocking guy? What do you do at offensive line? How many do you keep there? The defensive line, we know that bunch is really full of talent and potential, but you got to make some cuts somewhere. Would you rather have, Jordan Wilkins, the 4th running back, or would you rather keep, another one of those guys at the position?
Man, that's a tough one. It's Jonathan Williams is another one we're going to have to talk about. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I didn't know if we were going to talk about him because he didn't get re-signed, so he's not under contract with the Colts right now.
Right. So that's what I feel like is just going to be one of those things. He's going to be the odd man out. But I mean, if we're talking about the big 3, which is Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mac, and Nyheim Hines. I mean, here's the thing. No disrespect to Marlon Mac at all, but if Marlon Mac is going to want to demand more money, I don't know what kind of contract he'd actually be willing to demand. It's kind of one of those things where, you kind of want to go off of the sense that Jonathan Taylor's going to be under that rookie contract, and Jordan Wilkins will be as well. So is Nyheim. So, it's one of those things that I would not mind a Marlon Mac or Jordan Wilkins. Either one, it really wouldn't bother me either way, but obviously you want Mac because Mac is a little bit more of a patient runner. He creates kind of those plays that are like Le'Veon Bell-esque kind of things there. Jordan Wilkins is just more of that power back that finds that hole, hits it harder, and just makes things better for himself. But, I can't really say in definitive reason who I'd want more because, Jordan Wilkins and Marlon Mac have both been injured at certain points. They're both guys that make plays. I mean, it kind of somewhat comes down to money for me. It's just one of those things that, how much is Marlon Mac going to actually ask for? And what is Jordan Wilkins actually going to take for future reference? Because obviously Jordan Wilkins, if he doesn't see a future with the Colts and the small resume that he has right now, I mean, he could legitimately go somewhere and, be a potential feature back for another team for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the debate that you're going to have. If Marlon Mac's demanded, a certain amount of money and the Colts don't feel comfortable paying him that, do you bring a guy like Jordan Wilkins back on a lot cheaper contract and kind of let him and Jonathan Taylor, do more of the running? It's just kind of a weird thing. But then you also kind of have to factor in, last year when Marlon Mac went down, now that 4th running back becomes a lot more important than it would have been, when Jonathan Williams was a healthy scratch for so long. He came in and he was needed right away. And so that's just kind of the debate that you have to have there. Is it worth that risk of potentially Marlon Mac, who has missed some time, keeping a 4th running back kind of as insurance, maybe a guy that's not necessarily going to make a ton of an impact, maybe kind of a healthy scratch guy, unless one of those guys gets injured. But, also just looking at, just overall, it's going to be a very interesting thing to see for sure. Like which guy stays with the Colts, do either of these guys stay with the Colts because they may both kind of want to, go see if they can find time being more of a feature back, getting more playing time. Maybe Merlin Mac isn't comfortable. He's been a team player so far, but maybe his agent talks to him and says, you could go somewhere else, get paid more, and get more snaps and get more touches. So it'll just be interesting to see as this year plays out, kind of what happens with this running back position, because it's kind of in flux a little bit because, Marlon Mac's contract's going to be up after this year. And then, a year after that, Jordan Wilkins and Nyheim Hines are going to be up. So certainly going to be something that's going to be interesting to watch and develop as these Colts running backs. But in the immediate, in the 2020 season, the Colts have all these guys under contract. It'll certainly be interesting to see, do they keep 3? Do they keep 4 running backs? I can't wait to see kind of how this group shapes out here in 2020. There probably will be surprises like there always is. But, yeah, I think that does it here for our look here at the Colts running back position. Also, congratulations again, William, for that. We'll reach out to you, and hopefully we can get that to you. And we'll, like Derek said, we'll have more giveaways very soon. We're hoping to do one probably next week or the week after, kind of depending how it goes. But for Derek and myself, thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate all your support. Thank you for 2,000 subscribers, and go Colts.